Hello, and I'm so excited for today's call. This is a topic that I'm so completely passionate about, is sharing with others this business that has completely transformed my life, my family's future, and more than anything, me. And when I say that, I don't mean that there was anything wrong with the old me. I just realized there was so much more out there, that there was more potential inside of me I was holding myself back. And there was all this entire community of other people that were like me. And there was just so much more life out there to experience. And I'm so excited to share alongside with my sister from another mister. She is Whitney Atkinson. She lives on the opposite side of the world, and how this business brought us together, and how I get to do life with amazing women like her and share our stories that are really so completely different. Not only are we from different parts of the world, but also very different reasons and experiences that brought us to where we are today. However, doing similar things to create success through this business. So to introduce myself, my name is Dara Distel. I am a wife. I'm married to my husband almost 10 years. We've been together almost 20, and we have 2 children. I have a daughter, 8. I think next year she'll be 18. Yep, she'll be 18 next year. And my son is 3, who feels sometimes like 3 kids in one. And we are busy. We are busy. And the reason why I started this business was for the coaching opportunity. Just to kind of share how I got to this place. My husband, we were getting married, and he gifted me with P90X to get in shape for a wedding. Because let me tell you, up to that point, like, I didn't work out. I didn't know how to work out. I didn't know how to do a push-up. I didn't know how to do a pull-up. I didn't know how to lift weights. I didn't know how to work out for my goals. And then on top of that, I was clueless about nutrition. I did not understand how to fuel my body properly when I had really just for so long treated my body very poorly. I had done pretty much every diet in existence. I had starved myself. I've taken pills. I've done the cabbage diet, the cookie diet, like everything possible to lose the weight, when I realized like I wasn't working at the core of the issue, and no one had really introduced me into living a healthy lifestyle. And so when I started P90X, that's really when my reality to a healthy lifestyle kind of opened doors and possibilities for how great I could feel by showing up and eating healthy and fueling my body and learning what made me feel so alive and so good and so energetic. And the workouts that I couldn't do a push-up or pull-up, but by the end I was doing 20 and 30 push-ups on my toes, and going through that program really ignited this huge confidence and energy, and kind of piqued my interest for like what was next. And my roommate from college, her name is Teresa, she was doing this, health and fitness thing as a coach, and was telling me like, well, you need to become a coach, Dara. Like, you would be so good. You have all of the characteristics of someone that I'm looking for when I look to lock arms with other women. You're hardworking. You are very goal-oriented. You have a great personality. I mean, these are things she's saying, but, I'm just going to pass it along. And, she was just saying, like, this is just, like, you embody a lot of the characteristics I'm looking for when I'm looking for women that I want to build a business with. And I was like, no, I'm doing what I always thought I would do. I went to school and I got a degree, and then I went on and got another degree. I had a master's degree. And why would I do this? Like, I don't even know what this is. This is weird. Like, I don't understand. So I stayed uninformed, right? And during that time that I was uninformed, my husband and I were working full time, but because our full-time jobs with degrees was really not enough to cut it, he had to work swing shifts. So that meant he was working nights and holidays and every weekend. We had 4 days in an entire month together. And so again, we had just gotten married, right? Like, I did P90X. We went off to our destination wedding in Jamaica, and this was our newlywed life. Here you go. You have 4 days a month together. And so that coupled with financial hardship of just really never being able to get ahead, right? Like we thought we had really done everything by the book and really worked so hard to get a great education and land good jobs. However, we were barely surviving. And it was just very stressful time. Like our marriage was not doing well at all. And I remember just like being alone every single night, feeling very hopeless. And then we found out we were pregnant. And so at a time that really felt like it should be such a special, exciting time, and it was, it also felt very, very stressful. Like, what are we going to do? I mean, how is anything going to change? I mean, that was the question. How will anything change? I mean, were we expecting our bosses to give us these incredible raises in the next year, you know, during our pregnancy? Were we waiting for a really big tax return that came once a year? I mean, what exactly was going to change? And during that time that I was very resistant to this opportunity, my friend Teresa was achieving everything that I wanted. She was getting in incredible shape after her first baby. She was able to reduce her hours at her full-time job because of coaching, Beachbody coaching, and was helping other women. Her feed was so positive, right? She was so lit up inside doing what she loved. She was helping other women, and she was just this positive light in my dark world. So much so that I was getting irritated, right? Have you ever been in such a place where I was so upset with my reality, but like irritated that she was doing so well? And I hate to say it, but like that's kind of how I felt. And I had to just take a long, hard look at why not try this? And it was December. I wasn't even waiting for January, you guys. It was December, and I said, I'm in. After 1 year of dragging my feet and watching her do everything that I wanted to do, even though it was not what I had planned in my mind, like whatever is, right? Like you look back on your life, like all the way you think things are going to go, it doesn't go that way because there's a reason, you know? I really believe that there's all these opportunities out there that if we're open to them, really can be such a blessing in our lives. So I said yes. It was December. I said yes. I was 3 months pregnant, you guys. 3 months pregnant. And let's see if we can get back here. And I said yes. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business experience. I went to school for psychology. I wanted to help people, but not on this capacity, not on this spectrum. And I had 200 friends on Facebook. I never took pictures of myself ever. Like I never took pictures. I was so scared of the camera. And that's it. I didn't even have an Instagram. And I jumped in, right? Like I'm working full time. I'm pregnant. I'm home alone every night, and I have no business experience. I barely have any social media, and I don't even take selfies, but I'm going to try this, right? Like I really went in with the goal. Like there was no plan B. I was going all in. And I knew that by the time my daughter got here, that I could create really a lot of positive momentum in my business and confidence in myself as a woman and mom to be. And I worked on myself, right? I worked on my health and my wellness and learning how to feel my body, how to work out, how to feel so good from the inside, so that by the time my daughter came, I could be a positive role model for her. So I could teach her body positive images and self-love and all of the things that I feel like I wish I would have had growing up. And so I got to work. I started, building my business, and I tried a lot of things that didn't necessarily work, but I just kept showing up, and I kept kind of failing forward, like they say. I tried, just different things to get this off the ground. And eventually I was able to build it up. We had, because of our student loan debt and because we couldn't make financial, ends meet, that we really had a lot of credit card debt. I remember we were waiting for a tax return. I mean, this was going to be the tax return that paid for our baby crib and the dresser for our babies so that our baby could have somewhere to sleep and clothes to put in there. And I had a friend who gave me all these hand-me-downs. She gave me her old breast pump because we just did not have the money for those things. And so I was so waiting for this tax return. My daughter was born in July, and the tax return, comes a few months before that, and I was waiting. Like that was the thing that was going to get us a baby crib and the things we needed for the baby. And my husband had an unpaid parking ticket that had followed him for years, and they took our tax return. And I just remember like finding that out. Like I feel emotional now. I was driving to work and I calling my mom, and I was just so hopeless, like thinking like, how can this be? We're bringing another child into this world. We're bringing a child into this world, and this is how it feels. Like it just felt so hopeless and so scared really for the future. And that was it. I realized like, I don't want to struggle this way anymore. And I don't want some of my life choices to become my children's circumstances, right? Like I didn't want, because I was so scared to do anything for myself and to go after goals, I didn't want my children to be the same way, right? So I knew that I had to not show with my words, but more so my action. And so eventually, after doing this very, 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 very part-time, I mean, I was working full-time and I was pregnant, and then soon I had a newborn at home. After doing this very, very part-time, we were able to pay off about $80,000 in credit card debt. And I just want to say, Beachbody doesn't guarantee any level of success. You have to work for it. And then eventually we knew we wanted to continue to grow our family. But I wasn't going to do that until I was able to be home. I wanted to be a hands-on mom. Coming from my parents who had worked so hard for everything they had, they missed out on everything. They just were not there. And they left in the morning when it was dark outside. They came home, after dusk, it was just dark outside. They missed everything in between. And I remember that forever. I was raised by my neighbors, my grandma, that's who took care of me. And I just did not want that for my kids. And so 4 years into this business of doing this part-time, paying off all of our credit card debt, I was able to say goodbye. I put in my notice and was able to quit my full-time job. And then a year later, we were able to bring my husband home. So my husband and I are home full-time, rocking out this business. And more than that, our mom and dad, we get to be hands-on. Here in about 20 minutes, we're picking up our son from preschool, at 12 o'clock. There's just no way that would be possible if we worked full-time. Someone else would be picking up our children. And, I realized that I wanted more for my family. And like I said, to set that example that really anything is possible if you take the leap and you continue pressing forward. If you continue working for that goal that is on your heart, anything is possible. Anything is possible for you and your family. And so, yes, 2 pregnancies, 2 C-sections later, I feel like I am in the best shape of my life, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally and just in every which way. Over the last 8 years, a lot of life has happened and a lot of ups and downs, not only in life, but of course in this business, but I'm still here. And to say almost a decade later that I am still here in this business, I think speaks volumes, because a lot of people, when we think about job security, I don't know that so many people feel that secure in their jobs. And to know that this is yours and no one can take it away from you and you can build it up to the level that you want. I want to share a little bit of what's possible with the income here, coming from someone who is making about $40,000 a year to, $30,000, $40,000 a month. This is what is possible, and an income progression here. I mean, this is more than my husband and I made full-time in a couple of years. And so I want to share that with you because it was someone that shared that with me that evoked this excitement and hope in me that it was possible for me too, because there's no difference between those who achieved what you want and you, besides time and consistency, like taking the leap and then staying consistent through the process, right? And so I want you to think about, what would that mean for you? What would this kind of income do for you and your family or your future family or your goals? What would you do? For us, it was being hands-on with our children. For us, it was sending our children to they go to private school. For us, it was be able to take vacations and not have to charge it on a credit card. To us, it's be able to give back to our community and causes that are near and dear to our heart. To us, it's also being able to see some of the team next week. Is it next week? Yes, in Scottsdale for our retreat, our leadership retreat. Whitney will be there. I mean, these are the blessings that have been afforded to us because I said yes, and I just kept going. So I want you to dream big with me. Think about that in your own life and what that would mean for you guys. So I'm going to turn it over to Whitney because she has such a powerful story and such a servant's heart. So it's all you, baby.
Yeah. Oh, it gets me so excited. I always love hearing Dara's story because it was Dara's story 3 years ago that I was just lit me on fire because I'm so drawn to passionate people. And I think it's because that's naturally what flows out of me. So anytime I get a chance to just hear from someone that speaks with passion and lives out their passion, I just can't look away. So I've been coaching for a little over 3 years now. It was April 1st, 3 years ago. And as you can see, this is my family now. I've been married for 13 years, which makes me feel really old. And I have 4 little girls, and my youngest just turned 2 a couple days ago, and she's napping now. So let's all hope she stays asleep. But I now have 3 girls in school. My third is in kindergarten now. But it was when my third daughter was born. My whole life, I was never an athlete. I'm a singer. I was a little bit of a dancer, but not like a super athletic dancer. Kind of did a little dance and gymnastics here and there, but never an athlete, never even competitive. I remember in high school saying, oh no, I'm not, I don't set goals. Like I just kind of am very like go with the flow and pretty passive. So I thought, and I didn't think I was very driven. But when I look back now and I realize I'm very driven in the things that I really care about. But at the time I was like, oh no, I'm just your average person, whatever. And it was, but I did go in and out of the gym, but I always was one of those people that ate whatever I wanted and then just went for a run and was like, okay, I'm good, But it was after having my third daughter. So I had 3 kids under 4. 3 little girls under 4. And so I had like 1 in preschool. I had these 2 little ones at home. And I didn't have postpartum depression, but I have what I like to call overwhelmeditis. I was just so overwhelmed. Like someone was always crying, someone was always hungry, so someone was always awake. My husband's amazing, but obviously he was working, and so it just took over. It just took over me mentally. It took over me physically. It got to the point where my body was hurting. I was having breathing issues. I had really bad joint pain in my shoulders, like things like that. And I was actually surrounded. My life group that I was a part of, like the group of people that I would get together with weekly, they were all into CrossFit, and I had a couple runners. And they all ate paleo, and I would be sitting there like with my chocolate cake as we were hanging out and being like, suckers, like I'm still fine, like it was one of those things. But I watched them and they really just modeled this healthy life for me. And so what's so funny is what I do now has nothing to do with CrossFit or paleo, but it was those people who just modeled a healthy life for me. And a few of them were a little bit older, and I watched them with their kids, and I watched just kind of what their life looked like. I remember thinking like, oh, maybe one day I won't feel so tired and achy and overwhelmed. And so it was the fall before I started coaching in April that I finally was like, I know what's going to fix all my problems. I need to start exercising. Maybe that'll do it. So I joined a gym because that's all I knew to do. Obviously, when you feel like you need to work out, you're like, okay, I joined a gym. So I spent way too much money on a 3-month membership. There were only old people in there because I was going in the morning. I said I was signing up to go to classes so I would make some friends, and could never get there on time to join those classes because I had a preschooler, and her preschool was different than everyone else's in the community. Weird. And then the one day I could have gone in, I was so intimidated that I didn't do it. And I am an extrovert. And so the fact that I was nervous to walk in there because I was like, I haven't been working out. So it just, those fears crept in. So I would go and I would run for 30 minutes and I would lift random weights and I would leave. And 3 months later, nothing had changed. I was the same weight. My body felt the same. And I was just annoyed. My baby would scream in that little childcare the whole time that by the 3rd month, the ladies would just pop their head out the door and be like, come and get her. So like each day I was staying less and less. I wouldn't even get there for a whole hour. It probably took me an hour to get my kids ready to even go. Hot mess life, right? That was me. And so I was trying, I was then frustrated because I'm like, here I am making an effort. You know how you can just like get so annoyed when you try. And so I just realized like, this just isn't working for me. And my husband had been given T25 on DVD, which is a 25-minute workout program. So I remember after Christmas, January 1st, I was like, screw the gym. I'm going to wake up early. And I committed to 2 things that I knew would change my life. And I woke up early and I read my Bible because my relationship with Jesus is really important to me. And that was something that I had not pushed to the side, but hadn't made a priority. And I said, I know that I need to fill my mind with like positive things first thing in the morning and kind of get my mindset, my perspective right. And I'm going to work out. And you guys, I had 3 kids under like 4.5, 5 at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to do it in the dead of winter here in Pennsylvania. I remember waking up early, going down to my basement, reading for 20 minutes, working out for 25 minutes. And after the first 6 weeks, I had dropped all that baby weight I'd been carrying around for a year. And I didn't tell a soul because I was embarrassed. You know, like I didn't want anyone to know that I was even struggling with anything. I didn't want anyone to know. I had the appearance that everything was happy and I was as fit as can be and as happy as can be. And it was those two things, just me reading and just getting my mindset right to really take care of those girls every day, and me starting those exercises. So around that same time, you know, in that January, February, March, I really was feeling great about myself, and I was doing a lot of posts on social media, just encouraging other moms, just in life in general, not really fitness related, just like in the things that I was learning. I wasn't talking about T25. I was just talking about what I had been learning, you know, through mom life. I would post a lot of funny things, and I really just felt that nudge to like, what can I do to really impact, you know, now that my baby is 1, what can I do to really impact other people? And I wrote here that I wanted to live out my life purpose, because my whole life, it's not like I had this dream career. What I had though was this like life purpose. Like if you can stop and think, like I knew what I was made to do, and it wasn't a specific career. It was almost like an action. Like I knew my whole life, I was always drawn to like helping people feel their best. And even like maybe if you even think of yourself like as your childhood or in high school, like what kind of things or what kind of people were you drawn to, or what kind of actions were you drawn to? And those are the things I was drawn to. I loved helping people. I loved being a listening ear. I was such an encourager. And those were the things that when I wasn't doing those things, I didn't feel full. You know, I knew that I wasn't living out everything. And I do feel like mom life is a calling and a gift and a huge purpose. I'm not saying that me being a mom was everything I ever dreamed of. But all of those mom things that I got to give, I still felt like there was a piece of me that I wasn't using. There were a lot of gifts that I couldn't translate into a 9-month-old, but I wanted to make an impact on people's lives on a greater scale. But I also didn't want to work a 40-hour job, and I knew I couldn't, you know, start a brand new ministry from the ground or anything like that. And so over those months, I remember people telling me, oh, you should start a blog or you should write a book. And, you know, I considered all those things. And I followed a couple girls on social media that were always talking about their workouts and talking about their healthy eating and things like that, and how that was really changing them. And I was just watching and watching and watching. And so what I did was I started asking questions to a couple people who I thought were coaches. It's funny because it turns out they actually had quit coaching, and they told me not to do it. Flat out. 2 different people, 2 different phone calls said, don't do it. It's not going to work. And I was like, oh, okay. But I still felt that nudge in my heart. And I remember being like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to keep learning. And you guys, I was like looking on Pinterest, watching YouTube videos. Like I didn't know Dara at the time. It was just one of those things I was trying to learn, even though no one was sharing anything with me. I look back, I'm like, you're the dream coach. But anyway, like I wish people would learn more. But my daughter's long-term sub in kindergarten that year was a coach. And I mentioned to her when she said what she did also on the side, and I was like, man, I have been trying to figure this out for so long, and I always ask people how much money they make, and no one will ever tell me. And she finally just shared information with me and popped me on a call like this. And it was after like hearing a little bit more that I was like, I cannot look away. Like I knew this was for me. And everybody kept telling me it wasn't going to be the best thing. And I'm like, not that I was out to prove them wrong. I just really felt drawn to this. And not because I loved working out, and not because I loved healthy eating. I still barely knew what I was doing, and I wasn't really even doing it yet. But because I knew that this could be a platform for something so much greater. And I remember sitting on the couch with my husband while all our girls were asleep. It was the night before April Fool's Day. It was May 31st or whatever. And me just being like wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, should I do this? And he's like, do it. There's no risk. He's like, Whitney, if anything, you're going to get healthy and fit yourself, and you're going to feel amazing compared to what these last 2 years have felt like for you. He's like, so just do it. And so I decided I was just going to go all in. And I wasn't going to be that coach that just did the workouts and didn't do anything. From day one, I started to just share my journey and use my natural ability to encourage women and help through their health and fitness. So if you'll go to the next slide for me, what was amazing is then I ended up having a 4th baby, which is crazy. My life is psycho. And through my fourth pregnancy, I grew a business and I learned how to eat well. And all of those pains that I talked about in the beginning, the joint pain, feeling tired all the time, like all of those things, I learned how to eat well. So much of what Dara said was my story too. Like I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't eating the right foods. And I learned so much so that when I had and added my fourth baby, yes, you guys, my life is so crazy. I'm still overwhelmed often. But now I've learned that I wake up early before them. I sit down with a cup of coffee and I read. And then I press play on that workout and I get all that tension out. I'm feeling great. And then I'm ready to parent these four little ladies all day. And so I've just learned so much. Like I didn't realize the importance of taking care of myself as a mom. I just thought, oh, I'm just going to be selfless for the rest of my life. And that didn't feel right. And I'm all about us giving and serving. But at the same time, it should never be at the deprivation of our own health. And that took me a long time to learn because I was so servant oriented. So I love this picture, the 9 months in, 9 months out. Yes, I gained weight, pregnant, of course. But the beauty of this is it's not about like getting back to my pre-baby weight. It's just feeling strong and confident. And so the second picture is at the beginning of the summer, just of even how paying attention to my eating now, with 4 little kids, just what that looks like. And then the next, I hate talking about money, but I will share more of that story. When I was asking coaches, so how much money do you make with this? Everyone kept saying, oh, it's different for everybody. And I wanted to know what the actual numbers look like. And so I'm never going to shy away from being 100% honest with you about what that journey looks like. And what I love, I'm sorry, Dara's is weekly and mine's monthly, so you'll have to click back and do the math yourself. But what I love and what inspires me about Dara is watching her journey. Then in the beginning, it was like $0 and then a couple hundred, and then it starts to build as we start to get better at what we do, as we start to be consistent. You'll notice we've said that a lot. Show up and just be consistent in your own journey and in bringing others in, and then building a team of leaders who want to do the same thing. And that's what we're talking about today, is what it looks like just to bring in new leaders and then have our leaders bring in new leaders. And we work as a team here. And so this is just a reflection of how big our team is growing, both Dara and our team, and how much our team is growing. And where's my phone? I have to share this with you because one of my coaches sent me a text the other day and I immediately started crying. I was holding my brand new 2-year-old who had 102 fever, and it was the craziest day ever. It was a Saturday, but it was just a stressful day, and I was trying to do a couple things and I couldn't. And she sent me this message, and I just stopped as I'm rocking my 2-year-old and just remembered, like, I'm so grateful for what I get to do. And she said, I truly, in all caps, don't want to think about where I would be if you hadn't continued to believe in me. I'm eternally grateful, and I know my husband and my family are too. And those messages, like, they're right, they give me chills, and I actually now have a big old lump in my throat because, how I said, like, I just wanted to fulfill my life purpose. Yeah, I'm gonna cry. And this is fulfilling that. Like, what we do matters. And these numbers, the finances are just a reflection of the impact. Like, every dollar is impacting, is the result of a life we've impacted. And so I don't want to share the numbers without sharing, like, we get messages like this all the time. This was from one of my coaches, and she was talking about her own personal life and her financial life. It's like a mix, whether it's our customers who feel confident around their husband again, or whatever it is. Like, we get these messages all the time about, it's not just about someone getting abs. Like, people are changing their lives. Like, they're learning now how to eat so that they can run around with their kids after school today. And that's the kind of life I wanted to live. I wanted a life where I didn't miss a thing, but I also was making this impact with women all over the world. And that's what we get to do. If you want to click the next slide. This is just a small piece of our huge team right now. And I love it. And I love that everyone's holding hands right here because everyone's different. Like, when I look at all these ladies and even Dara and I, like, we're all so different. And the beauty of this business is that it's a platform. So you get to come in like 100% you, who you want to be, how you want to talk, how you want to communicate, how you want to inspire. And then we link arms together as each other's greatest cheerleaders. And the beauty of this business is that you get to be who you are. You get to be who you are. You get to run the business how you want. But most of us work this business part-time. Right now, where I am, I work between 10 and 15 hours a week. So it is definitely part-time. Now that the girls are all in school, I can probably add a little bit more, which I'm excited to. But to think that we do this part-time. So we rely on each other. We send each other training videos. We help with graphics. We definitely work as a team and cheer each other on as a team, because it's one of those things that we don't want to do this alone. We didn't sign up for a home-based business just to sit here in my office with my computer and not interact with other people. So it's been such an incredible gift, such an incredible gift. And Dara, I don't know if you want to share anything else at the end.
Oh my gosh, you made me cry, Whitney. That was such a beautiful, just, I think, testimonial of the impact that we are able, just even a part of someone's life that we get to, just a piece of their life that we get to impact and just be a part of, I think is so incredibly special. And, you know, we talk here, like, you are in business for yourself. And like Whitney said, you can make this anything that you want, but you're never by yourself. You are going to be a part of a top team in the entire network. I mean, we're talking 0.001% of all of the network. And because probably of the consistency over time, and because we have the best team ever, but we really are just every day I'm thankful for this opportunity. And you know, we want to share with you, if you have questions, I mean, please get with the coach that invited you. There is, you know, additional information around exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis and how we earn income, and all of that is broken out. But we wanted you to just have a real, like, no holds barred, big dream vision of what's possible when you join our team. So if you have any questions, shoot us a message. Thank you so much for hopping on.